These days, it's very common to watch a video with subtitles. 그리고 제가 다른 언어로 말하더라도 무슨 말인지 이해할 수 있죠. 日本語で話していても全然問題なく見られます。All thanks to these subtitles below. Today, we take a look at one of the key moments when English subtitles first met an audience in the UK. On the 6th of March 1932, London. If you want to watch a film, the cinema is your only option, and almost everything on screen is in English. But on Oxford Street today, something is different. A small cinema is about to screen a German film. It was one of the very first times a British audience sat down to literally read a talking movie.
Subtitling started in 1932 with two German films called Kameradschaft and Mädchen in Uniform. You know, they're already realizing that people watching a foreign film really want to know what's going on.
Why did they do this? Because in the late 1920s, films finally got sound. Suddenly, there was a massive language barrier. At first, studios tried clumsy dubbing or even filming the same film twice with entirely different actors.
Na, und gesagt hat gar nicht?
Ach wo, da hat Angst vor uns.
I love you.
Mensch, hör doch auf mit dem englischen Quatsch.
And he didn't say a thing, huh?
Not a chance. He is afraid of us. I love you.
Nonsense.
It was expensive and audiences hated it. It kind of ruined the art of the original. And then there was Elsie Cohen. She managed the Academy Cinema on Oxford Street and had a radical idea. Keep the German voices and put English subtitles on the screen.
They were all kind of inventing how to do this thing from scratch. And there are a number of people involved in these early subtitled versions. So Paul Rota was one, he subtitled Kameradschaft, and Paul Rota was a film critic and a filmmaker. There wasn't a sense at the time of subtitling being a profession.
So how did they actually get the text onto the screen?
An earlier screening of that film had been shown with transparent bits of paper with the subtitles written on them, which patrons were supposed to hold up against the screen, and they would see through the transparent paper. They would see the image, but they would see the subtitles on the paper. So it was kind of an early form of Google Glasses.
Today, we expect a word-for-word translation. A modern film might have up to 1,500 subtitles. But in 1932, they had a different philosophy. Not all dialogue is worth translating. They kept it to the absolute minimum.
Those films, one of them I think has about 80 subtitles, and I think one of them has about 120 subtitles. Over the period from then till now, what you see is a graph that basically goes like that. It keeps going up. So subtitling gets denser and denser and denser.
Thanks to this new invention, British audiences were suddenly exposed to radical, international stories they otherwise would never have seen.
Kameradschaft would have been perceived as unusual and exciting as films of the period. It had this very powerful sort of internationalist message in the wake of the First World War.
Riding this wave of success, the Academy then premiered another groundbreaking German film, Mädchen in Uniform, on the 11th of April same year.
This film can be read as an important early lesbian film, immensely well reviewed everywhere it was shown. The accounts of the screening suggest that it also drew an audience of gay women in London at the time, you know, who would have had very little access to films, would have had a focus on female leads.
But this experiment didn't only matter to cinephiles or queer communities. Unexpectedly, the deaf and hard of hearing community finally got a chance to enjoy the cinema, sparkling an incredible, unintended legacy of accessibility.
I think it's also important to remember that at the time, when we're talking about the 1930s, there weren't films subtitled for deaf and hard of hearing viewers. There were films that were foreign films that were subtitled, and those also had an audience of deaf viewers because they were the only subtitled films around. Mid-20th century, you start getting film prints that have, for English language films, which have English subtitles added. for deaf and hard of hearing viewers.
Subtitles don't just let people overcome a language barrier, they make sure everyone has access to culture.
Wow, amazing. Unbelievable. 자막, 서브타이틀의 장벽도 아니죠. 한 1인치 정도 되는 그 장벽을 뛰어넘으면 여러분들이 훨씬 더 많은 영화를 즐길 수 있습니다.
A lot of people see subtitles as a barrier. They see subtitles as something that isn't part of the entertainment they want to watch. It may seem like a barrier, but actually it's only a tiny barrier and it's very easily crossed, and it opens up a world of different kinds of films and television